The downfall of Starmer's government, Liz Truss scathing criticism. Recently, a startling revelation about British politics has shaken the nation. Former Prime Minister Liz Truss delivered a fiery address in which she labelled Keir Starmer as the worst Prime Minister in UK history. Her bold accusations have sparked widespread debate, with many wondering whether her claims hold merit or if she was simply venting frustration. A nation in crisis under Starmer's leadership. Truss didn't hold back, accusing Starmer of leading the UK to the brink of catastrophe. She pointed to skyrocketing energy prices and growing economic uncertainty, arguing that his government is ill-prepared to handle the challenges of running the country. According to her, Starmer has not only failed to address key issues but has worsened them. Truss painted a grim picture, saying the UK is now on the edge of a crisis from which it may not recover, thanks to the government's disastrous economic policies. The public is feeling the strain, particularly the elderly, who are struggling with rising energy costs. From the outset, Truss argues, Starmer's administration has set a negative tone, marked by indecision and mismanagement. Starmer's unpopular rise to power. Truss didn't just criticize Starmer's governance, but also how he came into power. She claimed that his rise was not because people were excited about his leadership or policies, but rather out of frustration with the Conservatives. According to Truss, many voted for Labour simply because they were fed up with the alternative, not because they had faith in Starmer. The disconnect between Starmer and the public. One of the biggest controversies that has marred Starmer's leadership is his acceptance of donations to cover personal expenses, including his wife's clothing costs. At a time when many UK citizens are struggling to make ends meet, this behaviour seems out of touch with the realities of everyday life. Truss highlighted this scandal as a clear sign that Starmer is disconnected from the struggles of ordinary people. She argued that while the public is grappling with rising expenses and inflation, Starmer is using political contributions for personal luxuries. This disconnect, Truss suggested, reflects a wider problem in his leadership. He appears to be living in a bubble, far removed from the real issues facing the country. The energy crisis, Truss versus Starmer. One of the major points of contention between Truss and Starmer has been the government's handling of the energy crisis. As energy prices continue to soar, British citizens are spending more just to heat their homes and keep the lights on. Truss has been outspoken in her criticism of Starmer's refusal to explore alternative solutions, like fracking, which she believes could make energy more affordable and accessible in the UK. From Truss' perspective, Starmer's reluctance to consider such options is a clear example of ideology trumping pragmatism. While other countries like China and India are expanding their energy production, the UK is closing down essential industries, including the last steel mills, due to high energy costs. Truss views this as economic self-harm. Climate change, priorities misplaced? Truss also took aim at Starmer's focus on climate change, arguing that while it is an important issue, it should not come at the expense of national security and economic stability. She criticized the government for prioritizing symbolic actions, such as flying the bisexual pride flag outside government buildings, over addressing more pressing threats like the rising influence of China and Russia. In Truss' eyes, Starmer's climate policies are part of a larger pattern of unilateral disarmament that leaves the UK vulnerable on the global stage. She warned that while the West is preoccupied with cutting carbon emissions, nations like China are using the opportunity to strengthen their influence and power. Is Starmer's government out of touch? Truss concluded her critique by emphasizing that Starmer's government is focused on the wrong priorities, failing to address the real problems facing the UK today. Whether it's the energy crisis, the state of the economy, or national security, Truss believes that Starmer's administration is dangerously disconnected from the concerns of ordinary citizens. Her speech has resonated with many who feel that Starmer's government is more interested in virtue signaling than in solving the real, urgent issues at hand. As the country faces an uncertain future, the question remains, can Keir Starmer turn things around, or has the damage already been done?